Hey guys, this is like a little video for like how to draw. We're mostly gonna focus on animals, but if you want to draw humans, I can totally try to do a video on that too. So first things first, you can choose like a transparency color. I'd say for like what I'm doing, you could do like around a 60 like I have here. So now you're just gonna make a circle for a head. Doesn't have to be perfect, just make it a circle. Then you can add the stuff on top, like the ears. This is a rough sketch, so like, doesn't have to be perfect. So you might be wondering, like, what is this plus sign for? So this is where to place like the eyes. It can help a lot. You want the center of the eye to be right in the middle. And then you can build on from there. Right now I'm just gonna do these simple little eyes. Cause like more detailed eyes would take longer, but I can do separate videos on like how to draw that. So like we're just doing a sketch right now. Now as you can see, I'm basically done with the eyes. Now the sketch can also help for where to place the nose and the mouth. So when you erase it, it's gonna be like, since it's connected to this, you don't wanna like put the paint bucket on it because then everything would go white. So you're gonna have to erase it manually using the eraser tool. And you might damage a little bit of the nose. So if you don't want to draw the nose right now, that's fine. But anyway. And then for the mouth, you draw like this. You can add like some teeth there too. It's like a predator animal. Now, I'm not going to do anything complicated for blush, but you would make a pink, make it like transparent, maybe like a 5 or 4. Then you can either do this, this, or this. And this is what I usually use. You can use any of those for 3 ways to do blush lines. And to color it in, if you're on an iPad, I would recommend using an Apple Pencil to color all this stuff in, but I'm not on an iPad, of course, so the best way for that would be use a paint bucket. Even if the littlest line is not attached, it can mess up the entire drawing and make everything go. Say if you're coloring in orange. Usually you don't want to do the blush line before you color, but it's fine. Now you might say my drawing looks all messy, and there's like these white little lines here. How do I fix that? Well, this is why if you're on an iPad, I would recommend coloring it manually, because this happens a lot. So you can either repair it with using orange or black to erase those white lines, or you can just erase the entire lines entirely, which is what I am going to do, of course. Now, once you finish coloring your sketch in, you can erase the sketch and then start drawing from it. So I'm gonna do a big size paintbrush. I'm going to erase the sketch. Be closer, careful to the face. So try to not use such a big size when you're erasing the face because it could easily mess up like a drawing. So Okay, so as you're erasing the sketch lines, keep in mind like what you want the shape of the head to be. So if you like don't want like a complete circle there and you want to erase those lines to make it look like these fur tufts are the shape of the head, go ahead and do that. I honestly think that would look better, but it's your choice. Now this is just like a head sketch, or maybe a bust if I make it a little bigger, but I'm not going to do a full body in this video, but if you want me to try doing a full body, how to draw, I can definitely do that. By the way, I'd recommend using much thinner lines than I used, because it's just easier to draw with. But I don't usually draw on the device I'm using right now, so it's kind of like awkward. If you're not liking how your sketch come out, you can always rewind to the video to the part you think doesn't look great. Okay, I'm finishing up finalizing the lines. Now I'm going to color in the rest of the stuff. And I'm going to erase this line right here, so it looks more realistic. Okay, now we've done the sketch and almost everything is complete. Okay, now you should add eyebrows. You can do this. Honestly, it doesn't look that great, so I recommend doing eyebrows kind of like this. This is for like a cartoon style. Realism, I'll probably like try blending a color similar to this, but now for the ear tufts, I'm going to do a smaller, slightly transparent white. And then color around this line that's here. Again, if you're on an iPad, color this with your Apple Pencil manually, or stylus if you don't have one. Apple Pencil works best, so. Ear tufts, try to make consistent fur lines. Don't make it like this and then make it like that, like there's no fur tufts in the back. You can also draw this differently, like you can put like pinkish stuff around here and color it in, and then the ear tufts would be there. I do that a lot, but you don't have to do that. Or you can put it on the outside, like right here. That also looks good. Now you might say, this doesn't look great, there's still a bit wrong with it, like where's the effects? There are multiple ways you can do this. You could call this rendering if you want to do like advanced stuff. Now try to pick shades slightly darker than or lighter than this color. Then you can like color around like that. Or you can go like this. And this tool, it can like extract colors from here. And one of the tips is you could make a color palette up here if you wanted to with the colors you used. But you don't need to. If you're forgetful, I wouldn't use that because if you found that on your real artwork, it would be a waste of sapphires because in real life, most people would be like, why is that up there? So. Now, you can like starting to look like a calico cast. So I'm gonna like add white splotches on. You can always change what you want to do later. Like if you, for example, you were trying to draw red wolves, and you decided instead you wanted to draw like a grayish wolf instead. You can totally change that as long as it's the same animal. If it wasn't the same animal, you have to start all over. So. Sometimes that will happen when like an entire area floods with color. That's why an iPad is really good for drawing, because that won't happen. Well, if you use the paint and stuff. You can color it manually, and it'll look better, honestly, if you do that. Okay, now that I've got all these white splotches on it, you're gonna use like, if you wanted to use this color, you're gonna go to this, you're gonna scribble some amount of the color on. Be in different sizes. This is also a trick a lot of realism artists use. And then go to a large or small, any blending size actually, and blend this around. If you have more of this, it'll look better because you have the colors blended in. If you add some white in it, it'll add like highlights, so it'll also look better. You don't have to use any of these tricks. These just kind of work well. I'm gonna put a little bit of highlights in. There we go, and then you can blend again. And boom. Now you have highlights. So this is just a sketch. Now if you want to add, like, this could be a bust. This could be to the front where I draw kind of like this. And so on. Adding like that kind of stuff on. Or I could go to the side, which would have a body. For now, I'm just gonna go like this. Good enough. Manually, well, not manually, like lazy. If that can happen. Okay. Now that I colored in this, another trick I like to use is using a low transparency airbrush. It could be like highlights or whatever you want. I'm gonna use a little bit of gray because there's like things here. You can use like a big size and then like go around the outlines of this. And then slightly in a brown tones. And then like highlight this. It can be cool for effect. It looks better when you have a background though. You can add like stars to get a sparkly effect. And one of the tricks I use for eyelashes is you can blend the black stuff. Usually I'd use a smaller size, so let me go back and use a smaller size. Let me do this. Stand outward. And this will make eyelashes. Or you can just draw them too, that also works. And another thing is shading. So one of the places you should certainly shade in is under the neck. So I'm gonna make this a little bit darker here. And you can like color in. And and that makes shading. I would recommend using a little bit of transparency though. So. Now I'm going to add some effects to this side. And I've completed my drawing. I might add more onto this. You can definitely add more into this because I didn't add much effect over like this part. But I hope this helps. Also, the AJ art program can be kind of like glitchy and it can freeze sometimes when you're doing the paint bucket. So just keep that in mind. Hope this helped. Bye bye.